Hey guys, and welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined today by Andre Seegers to discuss his recent playtime with Xenoblade Chronicles X. So, what all did you get to see, Andre?
Epicness. This game is epic. So basically, I got to see about 2 hours of the game in total. I actually got to play those 2 hours. I saw different segments at different points in the game. Because this game is huge, so they had a couple different save files loaded up, and I was able to try out different points in those save files. So I got to play around with some basic combat on the ground. I got to play with the skells, which are pretty great. And I got to fly around the continents. I got to check out pretty much I think there were 5 continents in total. I think I checked them all out. And then I also got to play a boss fight against Riza, I think it was, which is a boss fight that took place in New LA. So I feel like I got to see a lot in a game that has seemingly an infinite amount of content. Because the rep was telling me this game apparently has well over 400 missions. And one of the save files they were showing me had over 120 hours of gameplay, as I recall. And there was still more to do. So this game just seems to have a ton of depth to it. And even though I felt like I saw a lot, I feel like I'm still just barely scratching the surface of this game.
Yeah, that's the general feeling with Xenoblade Chronicles from my experience. Of course, back in March, I got to play the Japanese version and just take a step into it. I never got to experience the scales or anything like that, but as soon as you start playing, they just emphasize the scale of everything. And I got to see some of the footage that you recorded, and actually finally getting to see the scales in action was really cool. Especially you just flying above the continents. That blows my mind in terms of scope.
What's funny is, the rep was just describing to me various things about the game, and while he was, I'm like, I'm just gonna go fly around while he's telling me about these the details of this world. And so for fun, I'm like, let's see how high I can go. And I went super high, and that still wasn't as high as I could have gone. Like, as far as I know, it never capped me at my altitude. So I could have gone even higher than what I show off in the video, which is ridiculous. You can see just how big this world is. So this game really does seem to be like the definition of epic, really, from what I can tell.
So what do you think of? Let's go over exactly what you got to play. What was the first section they had you try out?
So they started me off just on foot, and it was just me doing some basic combat. So that'll just get me used to the game, how the combat works. Because even though I did play a very small amount of Xenoblade 3D, this was pretty much all new to me. But as far as I understand it, the combat is actually very similar to Xenoblade Chronicles, in that you still have arts. Basically it's like a mix of real time and kind of turn-based, where you move your character around in real time and you choose arts in real time, which are your moves basically, from a menu, and then your character issues the attack, and then you have to wait for that move to I forget what they call it, for it to recharge, basically.
Cooldown.
Yeah, cooldown, exactly. Which is something that actually appeals to me more. I mean, part of the reason why I stopped playing JRPGs is because I tend to like more of real-time aspects to games, and this game seems to capture that pretty well. Like, it's a good middle ground for me. So yes, I played around with the combat a bit, and then after that, we went to, I believe, the barracks, which is basically your home base. And that's where you can go to, customize things about your character or your skills, and handle basically, the more fundamental aspects of the gameplay. So that's how they started me off.
You already said you enjoyed the combat, and as you said, it's really not that different from the original Xenoblade Chronicles. It's just expanded greatly with different classes, which I believe they showed off to you at one point, right?
They did, yeah. They showed off how you can change your class, or how you can, the class tree you have, where, there's different classes, which will, of course, grant you different arts, and you can change what class you want to be at any time. You just have to work your way through each tier if you decide to change. But yeah, I mean, one thing I'm getting from this game, there's a ton of things I got from this game, but one of the things I got from this game is that there seems to be a lot of room for customization. Like, you can change what class you are, you can change how your character looks, you can upgrade your skills in different ways, you can change what arts you're using, what weapons you're using. I mean, of course, a lot of that is standard for RPGs, but you combine that with the scale of this game, and it really does seem like this is something, again, epic.
Yeah, it really seems like you could be as focused as you want, where you just concentrate on one aspect of the character and just do all that, or you can spread yourself out and be like, I want to master every class, I want to do every mission, I want to do every division and all the stuff that they can do. And it's that room for just playing how you want that I really appreciate, and really drives in the epicness. You can make it as focused or as widespread as you want.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the other question about Skells is, does the combat feel like it changes in any real way? Is it just basically scaling up the size?
Don't you mean scaling up the size?
Yes. Yes. How does it feel when you actually battle in the Skells? Does it feel different from when you battle normally?
It's weird. It both feels the same and different at the same time. Again, I only spent a couple hours with the game, so it's hard for me to to have a really good grasp of all the mechanics of the game. But as one example, like when you're in a Skell, you can hop in and out of your Skell at will, and you can then mix up your combat in that way. So like you can hop out of your Skell, like perform some arts, and hop back in your Skell for more attacks. So it definitely felt different, but the core combat itself is the same. I mean, it still works basically the same, in that you're choosing arts from the on-screen menu, but it does feel different because the Skells do, they can move around in different ways. They can fly around. For instance, like I engage in combat while just flying around, which is pretty cool, and you can easily change your elevation while doing that, which is something you can't really do when you're on foot, of course. So it definitely does feel different, but it doesn't feel different enough to confuse you or to be to disorient you. So.
Yeah, which is probably a good mix to achieve. Where you want it to be similar, but you want it to feel different as well.
Yeah.
And it's good to hear they pull that off. One of the things we saw, at least when I was working on analysis and previews for this before it came out in Japan, was the fuel system. Is fuel something you have to keep a close eye on when you're playing, or does it seem like there's plenty to go around for you to explore and check things out?
So in my case, because I was playing with some pretty upgraded Skells, it did not seem to be a factor, but I could see how it would be, because it seems everything involving the Skells does deplenish your fuel. So like more powerful attacks will have a corresponding hit on your fuel, as well as just moving around and stuff of that nature. So I imagine you will have to keep an eye on it in the when you're starting off. But at the point I was at, it didn't matter, except when I did get a Skell destroyed. When I went to, as I recall, when I went to go rebuild them, which cost a ton of money, by the way. Luckily, we had a ton of money in the save file, of course, so it didn't matter. It wasn't my money. I don't care. I believe I did have to like pay to refill my fuel gauge then as well, in order to really make it worthwhile out of the gate. Because I should mention, your fuel does automatically refill just as you're playing the game. But it takes a while, and that can be annoying. So if you want to speed that up, you can manually refill it as well, which is what I did when we rebuilt them after losing them.
Well, what else stood out to you as you were playing the game? Just in general.
So, I mean, again, to me, like, it really is just a scale. So, for instance, when I was walking around New Los Angeles, the rep is like, well, you want to go out into the world? I'm like, yeah, let's go into the world. It's like, well, you can either go out the door or you can just fly over the wall. I'm like, wait, what? So I just flew over the wall out of like New Los Angeles into the world. I'm like, holy crap, this city actually exists within this massive world. Mm-hmm. And the fact that I was connected to that degree actually kind of blew my mind. In fact, according to the rep, he was telling me that you basically won't encounter any load screens in this game at all, unless you're quick traveling or like a cutscene coming up. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that actually really impressed me. The fact that I was able to just venture in and out of the city, either through a doorway or just flying over the entire thing. That actually just really did impress me.
It's a good sign when you can just explore and just have fun with it. And I think you were telling me before we started this discussion that you actually did something that the reps hadn't seen before.
Yeah, so I purchased a really powerful mech, and we decided to upgrade with some really powerful weaponry. One of which was like just a massive or super powerful like laser beam type attack. Mm-hmm. Anyways, I was attacking one of those dinosaur-like creatures in the world. Like, it had a long neck, and it's just a massive creature. And I used that attack on it, and it just sliced off its entire head and neck. Like, it was completely gone, and the reps were like freaking out. Like, I have not seen that before. But at that point then, the creature's still moving around, and it revealed that it had another head inside it, like where the base of the neck like connected to its body, which is really weird.
Yeah, that's really freaky, actually.
It was pretty freaky, yeah. It looked really odd. But it was kind of cool. It was a completely unexpected thing. I didn't see that coming. Apparently the reps didn't see it coming, so...
The dinosaur didn't see it coming?
Oh, he definitely didn't see it coming.
Well, any final thoughts on Xenoblade Chronicles X?
Yeah, the only other thing I want to touch on real quick is just one of the missions. But they did have me specifically play a couple of missions. Some of which are more basic, like one, I was just flying around and targeting a couple of specific creatures, as I recall. But one of the other ones tied directly into the story, and that involved protecting New Los Angeles for 5 minutes, like 5 real-time minutes, from incoming waves of enemies. I actually thought that was really cool. We were like right at the gates of the city, and we had to like take down as many, all the enemies as quickly as possible before those 5 minutes elapsed. I don't know what happens after those 5 minutes occur. Like, I don't know if you fail and redo it, or if it's a permanent mark against your record. I don't know what happens, but I was successful. But yeah, like that actually was pretty cool. Like, again, I like how this game combines, real time with some conventional RPG elements as well. Which I'm sure, again, if you played Xenoblade, this isn't entirely new to you, but to me it basically was, and I really liked it for it. So
awesome. That's really cool.
So there's just one more thing I want to mention real quick. So obviously I'm not, a huge RPG guy, so I was still just learning a lot of the mechanics of this game from the preview event. So this is the most in-depth preview. However, you'll actually be playing the game, Derek, for our review. And in fact, we'll be having a lot more in-depth preview coverage from you starting late next week, I believe, right?
Yes, starting on the 13th, I'll be able to actually start covering Xenoblade Chronicles X more in depth. I have the game and I've been playing it, but unfortunately I am not able to show anything or talk about it in any real way until that point. So you can definitely look forward to that when it comes out, because I'm going to be blowing the lid off this game and showing as much as I can, but I am also going to be avoiding spoilers, so you don't have to worry about that as well. I'll make sure nothing is revealed that should not be revealed, because I know this is a very big game for a lot of people, and I do not want to spoil anything that you guys aren't exactly willing to see quite yet. But yeah, I think that covers it for our Xenoblade Chronicles X discussion, so thank you for watching, and if you like this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. And of course, stay tuned to GameXplain for more on Xenoblade and other things gaming too. Until next time, guys, bye.